Hello there. My name is Irene Ford, and today I will be discussing the ins and outs of making my Hort 120 AutoCAD project. The AutoCAD project allowed us to orientate ourselves with one of the many computer programs landscapers use to create their site drawings. For us, it allowed us to take a real, pre-drawn site layout and recreate it using the program's tools. This helped us to learn about important landscape concepts like scale, industry standards and expectations when using the specific program, and the relevance of the AutoCAD programming itself. Prior to actually starting the project, we first familiarized ourselves with AutoCAD's model space. Model space is where we draw whatever it is we're drawing using tools like the line, the polyline, the arc, and the rectangle tools. For the purposes of this project, it was established that circles were to be used for trees and shrubs, polylines were to be used for the house, primarily because it was easier to highlight one set of polyline with one click than clicking each individual line, and arcs were to be used to establish the curves of mulch beds, the fire pit, and walkways. In model space, you can choose what units to work in, if you would like to work with polar tracking on or off, and if you want to work with snaps on or off. We worked in architectural units, not decimals, and familiarized ourselves with using the snaps as well as polar tracking. Snaps help the drawer correctly close off shapes and correctly align their lines, and polar tracking allows for the drawer to visually see where the 90, 180, 270, and 360-degree angles are so that lines don't slant in our drawing. Before we started our drawing, we had to download and attach our master plan template into our model space. The template was used to draw all of our objects over so that objects were correctly spaced and placed in relation to one another throughout our drawing. Using the template's design, we were able to efficiently draw in objects without guessing where they began or ended, if their size was too big or too small, and if everything would be clustered together sloppily in the end. Before drawing over our template, we first had to scale it 1-to-1 in model space. Scaling 1-to-1 means that we would be drawing in real-world measurements. For example, 1 foot in real life would equal 1 foot in our drawing. 2 feet in real life would mean 2 feet in our drawing, and so forth and so on. Once we drew our objects using the master plan template, we put objects onto layers and assign predetermined layer colors. Layers allow for organization in a drawing, and color coding layers allowed for easy identification of what an object was, as well as provided a nice, pretty visual for organizing objects. For example, after drawing all of the proposed shrubs, we assigned those to the proposed shrub layer, which was given a light green color. Looking at the finished product, you now know that the light green circles mean that it was a proposed shrub, which differentiates it from the dark green circles, which are the existing trees. After doing grip edits to fix some of our lines and angles, we added lounge chairs, an 8-person table, and a 4-person table using blocks. Blocks are pre-made, AutoCAD-compatible objects that you can insert into the model space. It allows for speed and efficiency for the drawers since we don't have to create the drawings ourselves. Instead, we only need to download the blocks from a website and insert them into model space. After inserting them, though, we once again had to scale them so that they were proportional to our drawing. The final step of the project was to transfer it over to Paperspace. Paperspace is where we use Viewport to rescale our drawing using readily available drawing scales. Paperspace is where you add text, usually your name at the bottom of the page, still within the viewport layer. An active viewport has a line that is bold and is turned on by double-clicking within the viewport itself. An inactive viewport is a thin line, and when viewport is inactive, it means we cannot make changes to our drawing within it. Using AutoCAD is relatively easy once you become accustomed to using the tools you need, as well as certain shortcuts to use as you draw. For example, instead of drawing 3 separate circles that are all the same size, I could simply draw one circle, copy it, and then left-click to place them wherever they need to be on the plan. AutoCAD is a relatively straightforward program to use, but requires you to know what you need to do as well as how to do it. Snaps and polar tracking makes drawing much easier for someone with an untrained eye for right angles. The only difficult part of using AutoCAD is when you scale an object or image, because the 5-step process cannot be interrupted in order to be done correctly. If you mess up, you would have to start scaling from the beginning.